When BlackRock starts dumping properties by the thousands, you know something's wrong. Right now, in 2025, corporate landlords who spent billions buying up American homes are panic selling in 10 major cities. These aren't small-time investors cutting losses. This is institutional money running for the exits. When the smartest money in real estate starts fleeing, individual investors better pay attention. The corporate rental revolution that promised to transform American housing is collapsing before our eyes. Companies that bought homes sight unseen, paid cash over asking, and drove up prices nationwide are now desperate to liquidate their portfolios. This isn't strategic repositioning, it's full-scale retreat. In these 10 cities, institutional investors are flooding the market with thousands of properties, creating inventory gluts that are destroying home values. When Wall Street runs from real estate, it leaves devastation in its wake. Hit that subscribe button because what you're about to see will change how you view the entire housing market. Number 10. Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix was ground zero for the corporate buying spree, and now it's ground zero for the corporate exodus. Invitation Homes, American Homes. For Rent and Progress Residential collectively own over 23,000 properties in the Phoenix metro area. In 2025, they're all selling. The numbers are staggering. Corporate-owned inventory has flooded the Phoenix market with over 4,800 properties listed simultaneously. These aren't distressed sales. They're strategic liquidations happening so fast, they're crashing comparable sales throughout the valley. Properties that these companies bought for $480,000 in 2022 are now being listed at $385,000. They're accepting losses of $95,000 plus per property just to exit the market quickly. When you multiply that across thousands of homes, you're looking at institutional losses exceeding $400 million in Phoenix alone. The ripple effects are devastating local housing values. When corporate landlords dump properties below market value to achieve quick sales, they destroy equity for every homeowner in the surrounding area. Entire neighborhoods are seeing 15 to 20% value drops as corporate fire sales set new, lower comparable prices. Number 9. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta's corporate rental market is imploding. The metro area was home to over 31,000 corporate-owned rental properties at its peak. In 2025, that number is dropping by hundreds every month as institutional investors liquidate their holdings. Invitation Homes alone has listed over 2,100 properties for sale since January 2025. American Homes for Rent is marketing entire subdivisions they once controlled as rental communities. The scale of liquidation is unprecedented. The corporate exodus is concentrated in suburbs like Gwinnett County, Cobb County, and Henry County, areas where institutional investors bought aggressively during the pandemic boom. These same areas are now seeing inventory explosions that are overwhelming local buyer demand. Corporate sellers are offering significant concessions to move properties quickly. Cash buyers are getting 3 to 5% discounts, and many corporate sellers are covering closing costs, repairs, and even offering leaseback arrangements to expedite sales. Number 8. Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte's transformation from banking center to corporate rental hub is reversing rapidly. Major institutional investors have announced plans to sell over 6,000 properties in the Charlotte metropolitan area throughout 2025. American Homes for Rent, which branded Charlotte as a key growth market, has now designated it as a capital optimization zone. Corporates speak for mass liquidation. They're selling properties in bulk to regional investors and individual buyers at significant discounts. The corporate selling pressure is most intense in rapidly built suburbs like Concord, Huntersville, and Matthews. These areas saw massive corporate buying during 2021 to 2022, with institutional investors purchasing entire neighborhoods. Now, those same neighborhoods are flooding with for sale signs as corporate owners exit. Local real estate agents report that corporate sellers are pricing properties 8 to 12% below recent comparable sales to ensure quick turnover. This aggressive pricing is creating a deflationary spiral that's spreading throughout the Charlotte market. Number 7. Jacksonville, Florida. Florida's corporate rental experiment is failing spectacularly, and Jacksonville is leading the retreat. The combination of insurance cost explosions, regulatory uncertainty, and changing demographics has spooked institutional investors into mass liquidation mode. Progress Residential has announced the sale of over 3,200 properties in the Jacksonville area. Invitation Homes is marketing another 1,800 units. Combined, these sales represent nearly 15% of the total single-family rental inventory in the metropolitan area hitting the market simultaneously. Insurance costs have made the corporate rental model unsustainable. Properties that generated positive cash flow with 2,400 annual insurance premiums now face 7,200 plus annual costs. Corporate spreadsheets that assumed 4 to 6% annual rent increases can't absorb insurance spikes of 200 to 300%. The liquidation is happening across all price points and neighborhoods. From Ponte Vedra Beach luxury rentals to West Side starter homes, corporate landlords are selling everything they can. The speed and scale of this exodus is creating market conditions not seen since the 2008 foreclosure crisis. Number 6. Tampa, Florida. Tampa's corporate rental market is in complete collapse. Between hurricane risk, insurance chaos, and regulatory pressure, institutional investors are abandoning the market as quickly as possible. The numbers tell the story. At peak corporate ownership in 2022, institutional investors controlled nearly 18,000 single-family rentals in the Tampa Bay area. By the end of 2025, that number is projected to drop below 8,000 as companies liquidate their holdings. Invitation Homes has been particularly aggressive in their Tampa exit strategy. They've listed over 2,400 properties for sale since January, often pricing them 10 to 15% below automated valuation models to ensure rapid sales. This pricing strategy is devastating property values throughout the region. The corporate retreat from Tampa is being driven by multiple factors beyond insurance costs. New rent control discussions, stricter landlord regulations, and changing demographics have made the market less attractive to institutional capital. When corporate landlords lose confidence in a market's regulatory environment, they exit completely. Number 5. Houston, Texas. Houston, once considered a safe haven for corporate real estate investment, is now witnessing massive institutional liquidation. The combination of economic uncertainty, energy sector instability, and changing migration patterns has triggered a corporate exodus from the nation's fourth-largest city. American Homes 4 Rent has announced plans to sell over 4,100 properties in the Houston metropolitan area. Progress Residential is marketing an additional 2,800 units. Combined with smaller institutional sellers, over 9,000 corporate-owned properties are expected to hit the Houston market in 2025. The corporate selling pressure is most intense in suburban areas like Katy, Cypress, and the Woodlands, markets that saw aggressive institutional buying during the pandemic boom. These same areas are now experiencing inventory gluts that are overwhelming local absorption rates. Corporate sellers are using sophisticated pricing algorithms to maximize liquidity over profit. Properties are being priced at or below recent comparable sales to ensure 30 to 45-day sales cycles. This strategy is creating a deflationary pricing environment that's spreading beyond corporate-owned properties. Number 4. Dallas, Texas. The Dallas Metroplex, America's fourth-largest metropolitan area, is experiencing one of the largest corporate real estate liquidations in history. Institutional investors who collectively owned over 47,000 single-family rentals at their peak are now in full retreat mode. Invitation Homes, the largest player in the Dallas market, has listed over 3,800 properties for sale since the beginning of 2025. American Homes 4 Rent is marketing another 3,200 units. Progress Residential has announced plans to sell their entire Dallas portfolio, over 2,600 properties, by the end of the year. The scale of this liquidation is unprecedented. In some suburbs like Frisco, McKinney, and Plano, corporate-owned properties represent 15 to 20% of current inventory. This concentration of seller-motivated properties is creating pricing pressure that's affecting the entire North Texas housing market. Corporate sellers are employing aggressive strategies to move inventory quickly. Bulk sales to regional investment groups, seller financing options, and significant price concessions are all being used to accelerate the liquidation process. The urgency suggests these companies view their Dallas holdings as stranded assets they need to monetize quickly. Number 3. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas, a city built on calculated risks, is now witnessing the biggest corporate real estate gamble gone wrong. Institutional investors who bet big on Las Vegas single-family rentals are now cutting their losses and running for the exits. The liquidation numbers are staggering. Invitation Homes is selling over 2,900 properties in the Las Vegas Valley. American Homes 4 Rent has listed another 2,400 units. Smaller institutional players are adding hundreds more to the total, creating an inventory tsunami that's overwhelming local market absorption capacity. The corporate retreat from Las Vegas is being driven by multiple converging factors. Water restrictions are limiting future growth potential. Climate concerns are raising long-term habitability questions. Gaming industry instability is affecting employment fundamentals. Most critically, the remote work trend has reduced the city's appeal to the young professionals who drove rental demand. Corporate sellers are pricing aggressively to move inventory quickly. Properties that generated $2,800 monthly rents are being sold at prices that would support $2,200 rents, effectively pricing in future market weakness. This forward-looking pessimism from institutional investors is a powerful signal about Las Vegas's real estate trajectory. Number 2. Denver, Colorado. Denver's transformation from affordable western city to expensive tech hub attracted massive corporate real estate investment. Now that transformation is reversing, and institutional investors are fleeing as quickly as they arrived. The corporate liquidation in Denver is comprehensive. Invitation Homes has announced the sale of over 3,100 properties throughout the Front Range. American Homes 4 Rent is marketing 2,700 additional units. Progress Residential plans to exit their entire Colorado portfolio, adding another 1,900 properties to the market. The driving forces behind Denver's corporate exodus are clear. Tech industry layoffs have reduced demand from high-income renters. Remote work policies have decreased corporate relocations to the area. Rising property taxes and utility costs have compressed rental profit margins. Most importantly, changing Colorado regulations have made large-scale residential ownership less attractive to institutional capital. Corporate sellers are using data-driven pricing strategies that prioritize speed over maximum returns. Automated valuation models are being discounted by 5 to 8% to ensure rapid sales. This systematic underpricing is creating a deflationary spiral that's affecting property values throughout the Denver metropolitan area. Number 1. Austin, Texas. Austin takes the top spot because it represents the complete collapse of the corporate rental thesis. The city that was supposed to be the next great American boomtown is now witnessing the largest corporate real estate liquidation in Texas history. The numbers are mind-boggling. Invitation Homes is selling over 4,200 properties in the Austin metropolitan area. American Homes 4 Rent has listed 3,800 units for sale. Progress Residential is liquidating their entire Austin portfolio of 2,400 properties. Combined with smaller institutional players, over 12,000 corporate-owned homes are hitting the Austin market simultaneously. The corporate exodus from Austin is being driven by the collapse of every assumption that supported the original investment thesis. Tech company growth has stalled, with major employers like Meta, Tesla, and Apple scaling back their Austin operations. The influx of high-income California transplants has slowed to a trickle. Remote work policies have reduced corporate relocations. Most critically, Austin's regulatory environment has become increasingly hostile to large-scale real estate investors. Corporate sellers are taking massive losses to exit quickly. Properties purchased for $650,000 in 2022 are being listed at $485,000 in 2022. 2025. These aren't distressed sales. They're strategic liquidations by companies that have determined Austin's fundamentals no longer support their business model. The scale and speed of Austin's corporate liquidation is creating market conditions that haven't been seen since the savings and loan crisis of the late 1980s. Entire neighborhoods that were corporate rental communities are being converted back to owner-occupied housing through mass liquidation events. The corporate rental revolution is over, and it's ending in spectacular failure. These 10 cities represent ground zero for the largest real estate liquidation in American history. When institutional investors who spent billions building rental empires start selling everything at massive losses, you know the fundamentals have shifted permanently. The common threads across all these markets are clear: regulatory hostility, insurance cost explosions, changing demographics, remote work impacts, and the realization that institutional ownership of single-family homes was a pandemic-era experiment that failed. For individual investors and homeowners, this corporate exodus represents both opportunity and danger. Opportunity to buy properties below replacement cost from motivated institutional sellers. Danger because the same forces driving out corporate landlords could affect individual property values for years to come. The smart money has spoken, and it's saying these markets are no longer viable for large-scale real estate investment. Whether you're buying, selling, or holding in these areas, you need to understand that the landscape has fundamentally changed. Want to stay ahead of institutional investment flows that move entire housing markets? Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because when Wall Street changes direction this dramatically, Main Street needs to pay attention. The corporate landlord experiment is over. The cleanup is just beginning.